Then there was that day that lady walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to see her teeth. Oh yeah, I thought she was crazy. Ain't nobody ever asked me if I wanted to see her teeth before, you know. She asked me again. I thought she was going to take them out and show them to me, but no, she just smiled. Because she was happy, you see. I said, girl, that's a pretty smile. That's some nice teeth. She said, thank you. I just left the dentist, you know. It was my 7th appointment. I said, your 7th appointment? What's wrong with your mouth? Well, she said, you know, it's genetic, you know. Some families have problems with hair loss. Others have heart disease, you know, Alzheimer's. Our teeth just fall out. I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. She said, yeah, well, this doctor, he's good. He's young, you know, he's married. I said, well, that don't make no difference. He work on your teeth nice and fine. She said, yeah. Yeah. Said he's been doing a lot of reconstructive work, you know, take out the old ones, the real bad ones, you know, put in some new ones, you know, make a smile so pretty. And I looked down, noticed she had a wedding band on her finger. I said, well, what your husband think of that pretty smile? That's a pretty smile. What your husband think of that pretty smile? And she stopped smiling. She stopped smiling and she put her hand over her mouth. And she put her head down. And I put my hand under her chin. And I pulled her closer and closer, closer. The last time was at his mama's house. I like his mama, you know. She treat me real good. She treat me like I'm one of her own kids, you know. You know, so I like his mama. And we were having a good time. It was like his whole family was there, you know. We were just having a good time, and he just got upset, you know. He was walking around. You think you cute, don't you? You think you cute. And I was like, nah, you know. He wanted to know why I was smiling up in everybody's face, you know. I said, because I could. All my life, I only had a mouthful of rotten teeth, you know. He just got even more upset. He told me to bring my ass out to the truck. You know, we're going home. I was like, and it was already late, you know. We lived a long way from his mama's house. So we were driving, and like he just stopped. He just stopped, and he looked at me and he said, you breaking me. We ain't got no money. You breaking me. Why you gotta have these teeth and everything? He think I'm out cheating on him. I was like, nigga, nah. No sooner I said that, he hit me in my eye. You know? And like he couldn't stop it. He hit me in my mouth. And I just been to the dentist that day, you know, so my mouth was still sore, you know, and it was all this blood. And then he put me out. He put me out the truck, you know, like I wasn't a human, like I wasn't scared, you know, like I was trash. Not even trash, you know, because people get fined for throwing trash out their car. They see you throw your wife out, they drive on, see it as your own business, never saying a word, you know. And I walked all the way down to my mama's house. I don't need to go back, you know. I don't need to go back. I got my teeth, you know. I don't need to go back. And I put my hand under her chin. And I said, what's wrong with your husband? What's wrong with him? How come he don't like that pretty smile? At that doctor's hard work, what's wrong with your husband? She said, he think we spend too much money on the teeth. They ain't got enough money at home. You want to know why? I got to have nice teeth, a pretty smile. Why I got to have a pretty smile? Everybody should have a pretty smile if they want one. He thinks she out cheating on him. So she run from him because he gonna beat her teeth in again. He knock out the old ones. He knock out the new ones. And every time he knock them out, she go back and get some more. But she said it got to be too much. You know, it got to be too expensive. It got to be too painful. And I said, what you gonna do now? You ain't got no more money. She said, no. But I got my teeth. And I feel good. I got my smile. I left the man. I went home to my mama. And if I ain't got nothing else in this world, I got my teeth. And I said, you got your teeth and you got a pretty smile, gal. Yeah. So about that time, the doors to the bus opened on up. And the bus was late that day. That was one day I did not want to get on that bus because I wanted to talk to her. But we get on the bus, we sit next to each other, but we don't say nothing. We ride in silence. She don't say nothing to me, I don't say nothing to her. And I'm thinking, here this woman walk up to me and ask me if I want to see her teeth. And I'm thinking she crazy. When all she wanted was a conversation. Someone to talk to. Someone to hear what kind of pain she was going through today. And I keep thinking about how strong this woman is. How pretty her teeth are. Maybe I have to go see her dentist, but you know, these are all mine. That's right. So we get to the stop. It was my stop first. That meant I had to get off the bus first, you know. And I didn't want to distract her, you know. She was sitting there looking like she was in deep thought, you know. So I just went to slide on off the bus. She was just slide. And I figured I'd just say goodbye, you know, real soft, like goodbye. And head on off the bus. But she stopped and she said, wait. She said, you have a pretty smile too. She didn't have to tell Miss Charlotte to have a nice day because I had one anyway. Yeah. Oh, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that she is showing everybody her pretty smile, her pretty teeth. T-E-E-F, teeth. So these are my stars and roses. You know, it's a time to live. Time to live. Yes. See, you want to know something about my mind? I haven't lost it. I haven't lost it. No. I'm a griot. Griot is a storyteller, educator, someone that tells somebody else a story, that teach them something about themselves, teach them about their own history, their obligations, you know, responsibilities to themselves and to their families, to their communities, you know, that sort of thing. Griot. Historian. Yes. So Alzheimer's and the doctors who say I have it can all kiss my ass. That's right. Let me tell you something Alzheimer's can't tell you. The role of the griot survived the Middle Passage and lived with my enslaved African ancestors. As they toiled in a sweltering Virginia sun, men and women shared with each other and their children songs and stories of the homeland. In these songs and stories were messages of perseverance and strength, messages that led black people to an understanding of the past, offered instructions on how to carry on into the future. These Africans, not yet Americans, told stories of what they aspired to be. Free. Coming up on the rise, the nighttime finds itself resting free through me. That's why I pass on my stars and roses, because they're not for me to keep. They're not for you to keep either. They ain't yours. Yeah, so Miss Charlotte glad she got her bus stop. And they'll be here, the doctors and people and whatnot, like clockwork, looking for me like I'm lost when they know I come to the same damn place every single time. I make them feel important by keeping a blank look on my face. So when you see her sitting at the bus stop, She isn't simply waiting for the bus. And she's not lost. Sit with her. Talk with her. She's counting stars, smelling roses. Yeah, them some pretty stars. Look at them. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.